Okie dokie. Hello everyone. I lost my lapel mic clip, and so we're using an improvised solution. So I hope it works out, but we'll see. Today I'm going to be talking about YouTube and internet drama with Rekieta Law and Nick Rekieta, and relating that with chemsex and spirituality. Because just think about this, right? Like a Christian traditional upbringing leads a man with 5 children to have debaucherous sex with, ecstasy and other drugs, and abandon, in essence, like the most precious thing in his life. And so it's a lot to talk about, and I want to process that with y'all together. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to play the silly song, and then we'll be back in like 5 minutes. So, be right back.
But when the show finally turned on for the first time to get the bugs worked out, it was finally in a position where we could turn it on. I had tears in my eyes. There was some problems, there were some bugs that needed to be worked out, little knick-knack, little stuff. But it didn't matter. I seen it. They came to life. For 25 years they've been sitting in a crate, and I just breathed the first breath of life into them. And, yet again, there's no words to describe it. I sat here and I cried like a child because my dream had just came true.
I never walk about after dark. It's my point of view. Cause someone could break your neck, coming up behind you, always coming, and you'd never have a clue. And now I look behind all the time. I will wait forever, always looking straight, thinking, counting all the hours you wait. See you on a dark night. 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 And now another clue I would ask if you could help me out. It's hard to understand, cause when you're running by yourself, it's hard to find someone to hold your hand. No, it's gonna be tough for me, but I will wait for you. I need someone else to look into my eyes and tell me, girl, you gotta watch your health. To look into my eyes and tell me, la 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 la. To look into my eyes and tell me, la 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 la. See you on a dark night. See you on a dark night. See you on a dark night. See you on a dark night.
But when the show finally turned on for the first...
What a mess, right? All right, here we go. Clickety, clackety. So how does this story begin? YouTube and Google AdSense, combined with legacy media failing, created this humongous vacuum where should we put you guys? Maybe right here? This is silly, right? Created a huge vacuum with all this money and all this attention that was being unfulfilled by the old media offerings. And so, you know, the telenovelas, the dramas and things like that, they weren't really cutting it when it came to fulfilling people's need for actual issues. You know, like we need real drama in our lives to fulfill us in our need for human strife. So, look at this, guys. Oh, I need to eat. I need food to eat, you see? So in celebration of human drama and all of that, and in alignment with our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, who I don't worship, but I think is probably a pretty cool guy, I will don this shirt. Now, you may ask, oh, how could he wear such a thing? Well, Jesus loves crack whores, I'll tell you that. Jesus is a crack whore fan, okay? He was one of the biggest fans of crack whores. You know, just ask anybody who ever spoke with the guy. He was he was really into the crack whores. But more than that, this is about humanitarianism. And the question is, if you introduce crack cocaine into a situation, does a human being still have an ability to consent? Like, are they still capable of deciding what they do or don't want in a conscious way? Or did the crack, you know, like a crack attack, did the crack override their ability to choose? And that's the stunning thing we're dealing with Rekieta Law and Rekieta. There's this guy, and it's unfortunate, but I'm going to just bring it up. Hold on. I want to see. So look, so this guy founded his brand on his name and then being like a lawyer and commentating on legal issues. But it developed more into talking about the human strife and dramas of others. So like if, you know, you'd make fun of like hillbillies shooting each other over a dumpster mattress, or he made a lot of money on the Johnny Depp trial, or Kyle Rittenhouse. And so these are like human interest pieces that are relevant, but I'm blowing up the mic, right? They're it's capitalizing on the misfortune of other people. And you have to understand that, right? Like you're trying to juice an orange of somebody else's dire situation, and like their entire life might be falling apart, and you're getting clicks on YouTube and you're making thumbnails about it. And so it's interesting, this guy who made an entire brand out of it is having to reckon with his own life being turned into that same consumer product of strangers that gawk over him. Why is this on CONSCION, right? I want us to discuss it as a matter of human consciousness, like a preoccupation. Is there something productive in all of these people attending to this person's life? And I think a lot of it might be wasted energy, right? Like we can speculate on, how much of it is just sort of like spoiled and just nonsense garbage. But I just want to show you this. So I've just opened an incognito browser. I don't know where or what I am. But in Google, if I just type in Rekieta, which is his family name that he founded his entire thing on, this is what we get, guys. This is the de-identified, no login user search result for Nicholas Rekieta. And if we went to images, and so for better or worse, he has now branded his family name, and this is like years upon years of people, right? Polish people that settled in America. His grandfather made an honest, wealthy living by working hard and being talented. His parents are, descended from that, and so they're close to the tree. And so, hold on. There we go. He's a part of this, right? Like, but because of their wealth, and there's this thing that happened near us, like in Texas, there was a kid that ran over. Oh, I'm not even showing his pictures. Goodness gracious. There we go. And then this is what I was showing earlier, is on images. He is just on Rekieta, right? And then if you go to just Google search without any clicks, this is what shows, is his mugshot on a t-shirt. He's been commercialized, right? Like, this is just goofiness. The thing that fed his family and gave him a living is now being turned on him. The information attention engine that's focusing on him so much. And it's not, I'll close this for now. What's crazy is that for a long time he commodified people's sincere goodwill. He signaled as a person. He said, I'm a lawyer, so I can help you understand what is and isn't legal bullshit, right? I can help you process information. I'm a Christian traditional man with children. So then he virtue signaled being, right-wingy, all about Second and First Amendment rights and leading an honest life and stepping up. Like, he would give these pep talks to his audience, and he'd say, real men step up and they answer for the things that they do in their lives, right? Real men actually, they dust themselves off and they keep going, and they don't get humiliated by everything that happens to them, right? He would give these pep talks like that. And so it's really striking after he literally made $1 million in people super chatting. So he made Google, $250,000 because they take over a quarter of it. And then he took $750,000 from his audience that he's just sucked up. And his value contribution is to make people watch a YouTube channel and then send him $30 so he can drink on camera and tell jokes about things that are inappropriate, right? So there's a little bit of there's already discord here. He grew up in the internet era, though, and on the internet era, it was mostly men with computers, and so it was mostly men that weren't that socialized, and the men that ended up communicating with each other were mostly jerks, right? Like the way that, I don't know, internet, people that are perpetually online, they end up having like a knife's edge to their personality because they're used to dealing with nonsense online. And then if you have somebody like, Little Bo Peep comes in and all of a sudden there's like a bunch of vipers, right? Like it's ridiculous. So there's a little bit of a thing of being an internet celebrity. You capitalize on the drama of others. You signal that you're a virtuous Christian. And then all the while you come from an internet native background that has conditioned you to be a troll. So the issue became most dire when one of his audience members overreached and asked for too much support. He was having like a existential crisis and he wanted some help. He was just being an attention-seeking, suicidal person, right? Shame on him for being attention-seeking and suicidal. And in essence, Nick leaned in on this. This is the John, and completely eviscerated him on camera. And this in essence sowing an anti-life ethic, right? And that's my big grievance here is it's an anti-life ethic if you're telling your audience members to go and kick it. And once you've done that, I'm going to take this down for just a period. In essence, you've declared war on humankind, right? Like if one of your audience members that has begged for your attention and has tried to come to grips with being alive, and then like used you as a reference point, if in their desperate situation you say, like, to hell with you, loser, you suck, you're like stepping on their fingers as they're clutching at the edge of the cliff, right? You are now you're now aligned against the welfare of humans. Or maybe it's just that person, right? I don't know. There's some people that are specific, like they have these issues of girlfriends. There'd be guys that are too emotional and they end up, kicking it, and then getting in trouble with what is it? Okay, hold on. I got this now. So all this goodwill that he had fostered with people that thought that he was a good father and things like that, all of it was wasted because ultimately the people that cared about him, the people that followed him, were, I guess they were misled because he was just a nasty jerk. And then it became all the worse when in his personal life it turned out that, so let's see here, age-wise, right? I'm 37. I think he's 44. He and his wife started dating a guy who was 37, and then his girlfriend who's like 32. So basically him and his elder wife, like middle-aged, dated a couple, and they were kind of like, he already, Aaron, the middle guy, who's my age, basically, he already was dating a younger girl, but now Nick has double monkey branched, and now he's got an even younger model or whatever. The issue is, it's like, why wasn't God enough, right? Like, if this is about religion, why wasn't God enough to keep him from having to step out of his marriage? And I think it is conditioning. Like, for better or worse, if you've been married for a long time, when you're growing up, you have like a group that's supportive of you. You have friends that are sort of like nurturing. You have the wedding. But when you're in the middle of a marriage, by year 4 through 6, by year 10, you feel like you're very much on an island by yourself. And add in kids, and you get, I mean, you're still involved with people, but your marriage becomes this little crucible. And if you and your partner can't solve that riddle together, then you end up looking for answers in the wrong places. And that's what ended up happening here, where he and her went out and they wanted to have a fun time that was liberating, and they did ecstasy. Now, it's a good old innocent mistake to do ecstasy, right? But this is a powerful drug. Like, this is a drug where, if used in concentration, will give your body an experience that it's never had before, because it's such a it's like you're flooded with that neuron, or the neurotransmitters. You're flooded with serotonin. So it feels like this is the best thing ever. I love you so much. Wow, I'm so happy. This is perfect. I would change nothing about this moment right now, right? And so you feel like this divinity, and it feels awesome. Now, he was supposed to be getting that when he went to church on Sunday with his 5 children. And when he was at Christmas and he saw them opening up their stupid presents and he's sipping his spiked cider, that was supposed to be enough. But now he's having ecstasy experiences. And then that becomes polysubstance of including cocaine, including amyl nitrates like poppers, the inhalant stuff, all kinds of substances, because then he starts chasing a different kind of god, and that would be the god of chemsex and the god of polysubstance indulgence and abuse. This would be, for the Warhammer nerds out there, Slanesh. Like he in essence turned away from God and Jesus, turned away from the good Lord, and adopted a indulgent hedonistic lifestyle that he would go through. He would perform miracles to rationalize and to maintain, because the only way that you would neglect your life so severely in service of this other god is if you had to literally try to think you could fool everybody, but it all came falling down. You can't hide a bunch of coke. And in a relationship with 4 people, and this is numerology now, you can't keep this shape. If all parties aren't on board, you can't keep that shape. So he screwed up with this, foursome that he had with another couple, because they kicked out another person. That left out an open loop. Now this guy is, talking to the cops about everything they did. And then the other thing that's happened is him and this liaison, April, are in a prisoner's dilemma, where if either of them fall out of each other now with this triangle, the other one will go to jail, and it's unavoidable. So when all this was happening, he posted this, and I think at this point, when I thought maybe he was a decent guy or maybe he could redeem himself, he said something like this, which I won't speak out loud. He is cursing people, right? Now, let's do a little branch off on determinism and human agency here. Do we give him responsibility for his actions? Do we grant him that he is at the helm of his own ship? Or do we grant him that there is, we could say demonic influences? He's possessed by spirits and evils. He's driven by alcoholism and addiction and polysubstance abuse. The question is, if we adopt that, we can divert some degree of blame and resentment if he is just completely turned as a person, and his ability to exercise agency has been compromised, where he is now posting venom online constantly. Like this guy, and I've been there before, like I know to be like a hemorrhoid of a human being. You're just like a walking, living hemorrhoid, and you just want to be the grossest, nastiest person ever. Self-immolation. What's the point now in destroying his life any further? It's to see who is left standing. The problem is that he has left his kids in the background, and going back to being an internet native, I think talking shit on Twitter is fine. Everyone needs to understand we're still on the internet, we're still on Twitter, and we're still playing around. Like if you take the internet super serious and you get somebody fired because they make a bad joke online, then you don't really belong here, right? Like you haven't read the room and conditioned yourself to how things are. On the other hand, for him, he thinks he can say things that are so colorful. A well-adjusted person demonstrates domain-specific behaviors. So at the Thanksgiving dinner, I'm going to talk a certain way. Around my friends, I'll talk a certain way. At my job, in front of my boss, I'll talk a certain way, right? If I'm not a well-adjusted person, I will bleed out. And so I'll start telling my boss about my sex life or something, right? Or at the Thanksgiving dinner table, I'll talk about my foot surgery from last week in great detail, right? Like something that would be very unpleasant, right? So you get people that are chronically online, and then suddenly they think that they're in an argument and they start talking like they're an online person, but they may be in a real life situation or dealing with real life people. And they're like, whoa, what the hell? Like, what? You're really going to come at me like this? But here we are. Like, this is like the tough guy shit. The issue, too, is it's aggrandized by cocaine, right? Like, if you get dopamine and confirmation by a powder that you can just shove up your nose, which is kind of, you know, I don't know, it's a pretty stupid drug. Like, I kind of just want to talk shit about cocaine right now. If you're hooked on cocaine, you're a baby. Get over it, loser. And you're not that big a deal, right? How stupid. And that's the other thing of is it important that we relish over somebody's death spiral? I don't know, right? Like, I think there's a lot to be learned by watching it happen together, but there's some people that get like a little bit too bloodthirsty, and it's like I need to get this out here. Reaction content online, like YouTube drama. So we have the modern myth of the Kim Kardashians. We have things like that. But now we have YouTube drama, and there's so little things happening in terms of like actual interesting content now that there's like derivative YouTube stuff. So it's like commentating on commentating on commentating on commentating, or this is me reacting to someone's reaction video, and then the reaction video to the reaction video. And the best way to kill this, and we need to kill this bad content production, is that it's just chewing old gum. Like somebody's taking gum, they're peeling it off the YouTube algorithm wall, and they're saying, okay, here we go. And then they go on, they make a shitty video where they're reacting, and here's more shit, and let me give you more shit because you want the shit, right? Here you go. And it becomes just so... I don't even know, right? Neurotic or fabulated. That, I think fabulated is a better word, because it's like drama for drama's sake, right? Like we're so fucking bored that we just create whatever the fuck instead of talking about something real, because talking about real things isn't interesting. Beyond all that, though, I don't know. What do we do with Rekieta, right? Why is he turned? I think the issue of being conditioned is something to consider, where in your, so habituation is a big word, in your life, you just get used to the things you have, right? Like what you like, what you don't like, what your everyday is, what you do and don't have. And it starts to become very normal. And if you can't nurture a sense of contentment within yourself, where you feel like you're happy with what you have, and part of that is showing up, right? Like if I'm on my phone and I'm like doing crap all the time, and I can't even pay attention to the moment when something wonderful or sweet may happen, or I'm too busy that I can't sit there and be there to like have my family open up and have a conversation with me, right? If you're not present in your life, you won't notice those things that are already good, that are already nice. And it's like he wasn't showing up to church, right? He didn't see his family. He saw the deficiencies. He saw the skinny blonde, and he saw the pile of cocaine, right? And it is sad that the success drove him off a cliff also. And this is the thing of a lot of people with given success, they gas themselves up and they feel like they have a license to do things. At this point, it would hurt too much for him to come to terms with the truth of what's going on in his life. And it seems like he is dead set on the act. And that means, you know, if you don't play confident and tough, as soon as you show any sign of weakness, they're going to eat you up, right? So now he's just throwing daggers left and right. The relevance of this, and I'll bring this up again, is that he was a reference point for a lot of people. Like, he was like Papa Internet for people that didn't have an older male figure in their life, or didn't have like an older friend who maybe knew things or was like studied in the law. He was that kind of like warm voice in the room for a lot of people that didn't have anyone around. And the bringing it up again, I feel so bad, dude. I don't want to do it, right? Where is Super Slide? That freaking thing he said, right? Whatever, we'll leave it be, right? What's the purpose of bringing this up again? He was a spiritual leader. He talked about being the law pope. He broadcast virtuosity in his values. He signaled being a good Christian family man. He gave people lifestyle and morality advice. And this is where we end up. After his child tests positive in a hair follicle test for cocaine, this is where we end up. So you can see the lack of stewardship and the lack of care over the people that vested him some kind of a central figure role, that he, you know, he'd say, oh, I'm no leader, but then every day he'd get online and he'd ask for money and he'd bid for attention, and he would do the rituals that led him to become the darling of so many people. Self-immolation, there's a chance after all of this that he will come out a wiser man, but right now he has to purge himself of those demons, right? Like if we're gonna give him agency and say, you're a man, step up and do it, take responsibility, sure, let's do that. But if we're gonna say he's possessed by demons, he is beyond himself, he'll never be able to recover, he's not able to be an agent, right? Like he's just following the limbic system like a sad, scared little monkey. If that's the case, that monkey has to die. And I don't mean Nick has to die, but that part of him has to be extinguished from being deprived of all attention, all validation, affirmation, and confirmation. And if that part of him can be completely extinguished, maybe there's somebody that can come out of this. But it really does show what can happen if you lack a spiritual center, right? Like with a big hole in your heart and in your soul, if you encounter something like ecstasy or hallucinogens or who knows what, right? Like you are prone to fill that spiritual emptiness with something that could be completely something that's volatile, that maybe is not, you know, we shouldn't completely discard psychedelics and ecstasy and all kinds of exotic godlike divine-ish things, but to substitute a real firm spiritual core with things like cocaine is a recipe for failure and death, right? Like cocaine will not deliver you. I mean, some people think if we have enough cocaine, we're going to get there, right? Nobody can stop me, right? Give me a brick of cocaine and I'll move the world, right? And maybe they're right. Addicts can do really amazing things if they really push themselves to do it, but that's in service of a different thing, right? I don't know. I think the addiction theory that they're not in control, if somebody really is ill, then maybe they don't have that sense of agency. And it's hard for me because I can feel a sense of control. Like I can stop drinking if I've had too much, or if I'm, like self-regulation, right? And the trouble with addiction is for people that are not, average, they can't hit the brakes. Or at least that's the story, if we're to believe it. So my stupid folly is to always think like, well, why don't they hit the brakes? Why don't they just stop? But they, maybe they have to stop because they're forced to by outside things. And then they have that thing of like a dry addict. So they're not really using, but in their head, they're still like, all the gears are rolling and they're still kind of like, and grinding their teeth and shit like that. So we can question how much we want to believe that is an inherent part of people, or if that's something that almost like a pattern or a way of being that they are too occupied in, right? Like if you're, and it's, I think of, and it's sort of like a humanistic way of looking at it. If you look at the world like a play and everyone has their different roles, and things will balance themselves out. So like if you have 4 class clowns in one class, that's not going to last, right? Until it sort of settles out to like 1 or 2. Or if you have 4 drama queens, that's not going to work out, right? So in essence, these things kind of work out numerically and balance out. Goodness gracious, where was I going with that? Oh yeah. So maybe for him and for other people, it's their time to be in the role of an asshole addict. And it's their time to be an example for everyone else about what not to do. And maybe that's what he thinks is he's like, look, if I'm the cringiest guy on the planet, then my 16-year-old son will never want to be like me and will do everything he can to counter-identify, right? And he's taking on a foil role. But that means he's like stabbing himself and he's like, chopping his weenie off and all this stuff, right? Like just to show off. I'm going to close this. I don't like it. Maybe that's his role right now. But the other thing is that like with any play or with any story, the role of the asshole, I don't know, does he become the asshole for perpetuity? Like, is he just like a troll forever? I think that's hard to maintain. And so I think eventually he'll have to settle down and come to terms with things. But it is sad to think that because of his misdeeds and because of his misbehavior, the already, shallow ground that he's on is becoming even more shallow, and he has to face possibly going to prison, right? Which will be the most humbling experience anybody can go through, because prison is inherently oppressive of the soul. So the other thing to think about is there's a bunch of people that turn to him for spiritual guidance and help that no longer have figures to follow. And so now they're watching people that are like commentating and making jokes, like lol cow where it's all Schadenfreude, taking pleasure at others' expense. But oh my gosh, I'm still getting over being sick. We can't worship the misfortune of others. Like, I don't think that that's a nourishing practice. I think it's fun to do, and we can like enjoy it, and it can delight us. And in essence, the whole point is he did it so that nobody else ever has to, right? Like, if anyone ever jumps into a airplane turbine that's on, and they're turned into human confetti, he did it so no one else had to. Nobody else has to jump into an airplane turbine. Nobody else has to post about their intense cuckoldry relationship online while they have 5 children that are growing up in a digital age, and everything will be exposed, right? Like, nobody had to do any of that, but he did. And so, hey, here we are. We can see it's like Jesus, he died for our sins, but he's not a redeemable person. And so I don't know if he's remedied anything in the human race besides just showing us the folly of a person. Now, with all that said, I went through my own follies, as you can well see. I am not a serious person. And that's the only reason I can do stuff like this, because a serious person trying to do these things wouldn't be taken seriously. And so here I am. But unlike Ricada, I worship my family more than I worship anything else. And so when faced with oppression, I'm not, I'm not drinking of the vine. I'm not trying to have it all still. And I understand. For instance, because of my life, I can't go around and date a bunch of girls. If I went around and had 4 girlfriends, I probably would end up in jail. That's 2024 for you, right? Like, I'm smart enough to figure that shit out. And if you haven't, then you're clearly departed from reality, and you got to get it back together, right? So that's where we're at. I don't know if this will be informative for anyone, but I was thinking of a process stream because there's a lot of people that have seen this complete, it's like Chernobyl, like literally a fucking Chernobyl of this man's life. And they don't have, beyond people just like throwing peanuts and yucking and yakking about it, they don't have anything to connect with to integrate what's happened. And so let it be that we see this man self-immolate and self-destruct, and we learn that we can be otherwise, and we can be, greater. And then let's just have a little bit of mourning for the goodwill and good faith that was vested in this person that was all squandered and thrown away. And I hope everyone can find better spiritual leaders and better communities and substitute internet daddies or whatever it may be. Because if you put your faith in somebody that's just another temper tantrum person that'll throw a fit whenever things don't go their way, you've basically invested yourself in failure. And if, that's okay. If you just do it, if you're going to invest yourself in failure, do it with your eyes wide open, is my best advice. So I feel very preachy. I don't know, we should make it lighter, right? But I fucked up. I'm going to try to stream again on Wednesday and on Friday. We'll see how that goes, right? It'll be around noon. And yeah, if you tuned in, that's lovely. I love crack whores. I hope you love crack whores too. They deserve love too, okay? So with all that said, I'll play an outro. And I wish you well. This one's going to get hot, get pumped up. So here we go. Speaker check, speaker check. You got warned.
Make some noise! Senses start the beat. Ladies and gentlemen only. 为什么感觉这么吸引？怎么了 ？Don't worry， 该否将念头一次。如果是 gay， 都只是 gay。头脑中越来越繁荣，最初越来越干枯，慢慢的剧烈着，需要上不断的反驳。你对我配，快要报备。像感冒让你听到，像是让你再找不了，你就叫你要不要，快跑吧 ，Bad boy， 对眼后心跳是本能到一起，无可救药。Bad boy， 山顶都嘲笑你，快超让再也抵抗不了。Bad boy， make some noise。假扮着不在代表情，所有情报都出在心里，最后我会胜利操控新的节操一体。不过是 gay， 都只是 gay， 每一个动作和表情都会让你好烦恼，有种莫名不安，再把你包围着环绕，再加上爱情是像感冒让你知道，像是让你再找不了，你中招你要快逃，快跑猫 Bad boy， 对眼后心跳是本能到一起，无可救药。Bad boy， 山顶都嘲笑你，快超然再也抵抗不了。Bad boy， Fever, tears, chest pain, headache， 就要这样快点逼得进，准备站起。Hey girl, slow down, take it easy. Bad boy， 对眼后心跳是本能到一起，无可救药。Bad boy， 山顶都嘲笑你，快超然再也抵抗不了。Bad boy。
Whoop. Alright, you can see anime was a big mistake. Good week to you all, and wish you well. Safe